One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. These words, spoken by the pioneering psychologist Carl Jung, echo through the corridors of the human psyche. They point to a truth many of us spend our lives avoiding, a truth hidden in the corners we refuse to look, buried beneath the masks we wear for the world. What is this darkness Jung speaks of? This realm we instinctively shun, label as negative, unworthy, even evil? It is the shadow, the disowned self, the repository of everything within us that we have repressed, denied, and deemed unacceptable. Our fears, our rage, our envy, our shame, but also, paradoxically, our hidden strengths, our untamed creativity, our deepest potential. What if I told you that this darkness is not the enemy? What if this forbidden territory holds the very keys to your liberation, to authentic power, to becoming truly whole? Most spiritual paths speak of light, of ascension, of reaching for the heavens. But they often forget the wisdom of the ancients. No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It requires courage. It demands honesty. It asks you to turn towards the parts of yourself you fear the most. But the rewards are immeasurable. In this exploration, we will venture into the heart of your own shadow. We will uncover what the shadow truly is and how it silently shapes your reality. The profound cost of leaving it unacknowledged, living a life dictated by unseen forces. The immense, life-altering power that comes from embracing your darkness. And practical, grounded steps you can take starting today to begin this sacred work of integration. This is the path of shadow work. A journey not into becoming less, but into becoming more authentic, more integrated, more powerfully you. Are you ready to stop imagining figures of light and start making the darkness conscious? So what exactly is this shadow? Let's peel back the layers. In Jungian psychology, the shadow represents the unknown, dark side of our personality. Think of your conscious self, the you that you know, the personality you present to the world, as the tip of an iceberg. The shadow is the vast, submerged mass beneath the surface. It resides in what Jung called the personal unconscious. This isn't some demonic entity. It's simply the collection bin for all the parts of ourselves we learn to hide, deny, or repress, usually starting in childhood. Imagine a young child, naturally expressive, perhaps prone to fits of anger, moments of intense selfishness, or bursts of wild, untamed creativity. Society, parents, teachers, often with good intentions, begin to shape this raw energy. Don't be angry. Share your toys. Sit still. That's silly. We learn quickly which parts of us earn approval, love, and belonging, and which parts lead to rejection, shame, or punishment. To survive, to fit in, we start to disown these unacceptable traits. We craft a persona, a social mask, the version of ourselves we deem presentable. It's the good student, the dutiful daughter, the strong man, the nice girl. This persona helps us navigate the world, but it comes at a cost. Where do those disowned parts go? They don't vanish. They are pushed into the darkness of the unconscious, forming the shadow. And here's the crucial point. The shadow doesn't just contain the negative traits like rage, greed, or envy. It also holds repressed positive qualities. Perhaps your assertiveness was labeled as bossy, your sensitivity as weak, your unique creativity as weird. These powerful, valuable parts of you might also be lurking in the shadow, waiting to be reclaimed. The writer Robert Bly beautifully described this process. He said we put all these unwanted parts into an invisible bag that we drag behind us throughout our lives. We pretend it's not there, but it grows heavier and heavier, influencing our choices, our moods, our relationships, often without our awareness. What happens when we ignore this bag, when we refuse to acknowledge the shadow? The consequences are profound, often playing out in ways that sabotage our lives. One of the most common mechanisms is projection. Jung stated, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When we haven't owned a particular trait within ourselves, say arrogance, we become intensely irritated or judgmental when we see it in others. We are projecting our own disowned shadow onto them. Think about someone who really gets under your skin. What specific quality bothers you most? Honesty requires asking, is there a hidden echo of that quality within me, perhaps in a form I refuse to see? Ignoring the shadow also leads to self-sabotage. Unconscious patterns, driven by repressed fears or beliefs, can derail our best intentions. We might repeatedly fail in relationships, struggle financially despite working hard, or find ourselves stuck in cycles of procrastination or addiction. These are often the shadow pulling the strings from behind the curtain. We live with a lack of authenticity, a nagging feeling of being an imposter. Constantly suppressing parts of ourselves requires immense psychic energy, leading to fatigue, anxiety, or depression without an obvious cause. Sometimes the shadow erupts. Think of the classic tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, the respectable gentleman, tried to completely separate himself from his darker impulses. But the repressed energy didn't disappear. It festered and eventually burst forth as the monstrous Mr. Hyde, wreaking havoc. While our own experiences might not be so dramatic, the principle holds. What we deny within ourselves doesn't go away. It gains power in the darkness. It influences our choices. It attracts experiences that mirror our disowned parts. As Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But there is another path, a path of courage. A path of turning towards the darkness, not with fear but with curiosity and compassion. A path that leads not to destruction but to liberation. Facing the shadow, delving into the parts of ourselves we've hidden away, it sounds daunting, perhaps even terrifying. Why would anyone willingly journey into their own darkness? Because paradoxically, that is precisely where our greatest treasures lie hidden. The descent into the shadow is not about wallowing in negativity. It's about reclaiming lost parts of ourselves, integrating them, and emerging more whole, more authentic, and infinitely more powerful. Embracing the darkness is counterintuitive in a world obsessed with light and positivity. But true growth doesn't happen by only staying in the comfortable light. It happens when we have the courage to confront what lies beneath the surface. Let's explore the profound rewards that await those brave enough to undertake this journey. First, and perhaps most importantly, shadow work leads to greater authenticity and wholeness. When we live solely from our persona, our curated mask, there's often a persistent feeling of being incomplete, of playing a role. By acknowledging and integrating the shadow, we bridge the gap between who we pretend to be and who we truly are. We drop the exhausting act. We become congruent. There's an incredible sense of relief and solidity that comes from accepting all parts of yourself, the light and the dark. You feel more real, more grounded, more you. Second, shadow work dramatically improves relationships. Remember projection? When we own our own shadow traits, we stop unconsciously projecting them onto others. That person who used to infuriate you? You might still disagree with them, but their behavior no longer triggers such an intense emotional reaction, because you've acknowledged that same potential within yourself. You develop greater compassion, both for your own flaws and for the imperfections of others. Communication becomes clearer, conflicts lessen, and connections deepen, based on honesty rather than illusion. Imagine Sarah, who constantly attracted partners she felt were overly critical and controlling. Through shadow work, she realized she had deeply repressed her own critical nature and her desire for control, stemming from childhood insecurities. By acknowledging her own inner critic and need for control, she stopped projecting it outwards. Her intense reactions to others softened, and she began attracting partners with whom she could build healthier, more balanced dynamics. Third, embracing the shadow enhances energy and vitality. Remember that invisible bag of repressed parts? Dragging it around takes an enormous amount of psychic energy. The constant effort to keep things hidden, to maintain the mask, is exhausting. When you begin to unpack that bag through shadow work, you liberate that trapped energy. It becomes available for living, for creativity, for pursuing your goals. Many people report feeling lighter, more vibrant, and less prone to unexplained fatigue after engaging in this work. Fourth, shadow work unlocks increased creativity. The shadow isn't just a dumping ground for negativity. It's often where our raw, untamed creative impulses reside. The parts of us that were deemed too wild, too unconventional, too passionate, these hold immense creative power. By exploring the shadow, artists, writers, musicians, and innovators often find new depths of inspiration and originality. Integrating the shadow allows for a richer, more complex, and more authentic expression of your unique gifts. Fifth, you gain clearer perception of yourself and the world. Without the distorting lens of projection, you see situations and people more objectively. You're less likely to be swayed by flattery or crushed by criticism because your sense of self is more internally anchored. You develop a more realistic assessment of your strengths and weaknesses, leading to wiser decisions and more effective actions. Finally, shadow work cultivates emotional maturity and resilience. By facing difficult emotions and uncomfortable truths within yourself, you build the capacity to navigate life's challenges with greater strength and grace. You become less reactive, more able to respond consciously rather than being hijacked by unconscious patterns. You develop a deeper understanding of the human condition, fostering profound inner strength. And crucially, within the shadow lies hidden gold. Those positive traits we disowned? The assertiveness mistaken for aggression, the sensitivity mistaken for weakness, the righteous anger mistaken for bitterness? Shadow work allows us to reclaim these valuable qualities, polish them, and integrate them into our conscious personality in a healthy way. The journey into the shadow is challenging, yes, but it is not a journey into despair. It is a journey towards reclaiming your power, your creativity, your authenticity. It is the path to becoming truly whole. Understanding the shadow is the first step. But how do we actually begin the work? How do we start this journey into our own depths? It's crucial to approach this process with the right mindset. This isn't about aggressively attacking your flaws or forcing change. It's about cultivating awareness, curiosity, and, above all, compassion for yourself. As Jung himself implied, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. This work requires courage, but also gentleness. Before diving into specific exercises, there are two foundational practices. First, center yourself. Attempting shadow work when you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or reactive is unlikely to be productive. Find ways to ground yourself first, through deep breathing, a short meditation, spending time in nature, whatever brings you to a state of relative calm and clarity. You need to be the observer, not lost in the storm. Second, cultivate self-compassion. This journey will inevitably bring up uncomfortable feelings, shame, guilt, fear, sadness. It's vital to meet these feelings with kindness, not judgment. Remember the Buddhist concept of maitri, unconditional friendliness towards oneself. You are exploring hidden parts of your shared humanity. Be gentle. With that foundation, let's explore some practical exercises you can begin with. Remember to start slowly and choose what resonates most with you right now. Our projections are powerful doorways into the shadow. Pay close attention to your strong emotional reactions to other people, both positive and negative. When someone intensely irritates or angers you, pause. Ask yourself, what specific quality in this person is triggering me? Then the crucial question, do I possess this quality or perhaps its direct opposite, in some way that I haven't acknowledged? For example, intense irritation at someone's perceived laziness might point to your own disowned need for rest, or a fear of your own potential for inaction. Conversely, intense admiration or idealization of someone can also be a projection, often of your own unrealized potential, your disowned golden shadow. Try this journaling prompt. Describe someone who strongly triggers you, positively or negatively. List the specific traits that evoke this reaction. Now, reflect honestly, where might these traits or their hidden counterparts exist within you? Don't judge, just observe. We all have that inner voice that judges, criticizes, and finds fault. This inner critic is often a manifestation of internalized parental or societal voices, deeply connected to the shadow. Instead of fighting or ignoring the critic, try to get curious about it. When you hear that critical voice, notice it. Then ask it questions, perhaps in a journal. What are you trying to protect me from? What fear is driving this criticism? What positive intention might be hidden beneath this harshness? Often, the critic is a misguided protector, trying to keep you safe from perceived threats like failure or rejection, based on old programming. By understanding its motives, you can begin to disarm its power and integrate its underlying concerns in a healthier way. Dreams are often called the royal road to the unconscious. Jung placed great emphasis on dream analysis as a way to access the shadow and other unconscious material. Start by simply keeping a dream journal beside your bed. When you wake up, jot down any fragments you remember, images, feelings, characters, plot points, without trying to interpret them immediately. Later, review your journal. Notice recurring themes, symbols, or figures. Who are the characters in your dreams? Especially pay attention to figures who frighten you, pursue you, or seem alien. These are often direct representations of your shadow aspects. Ask yourself, what might this dream figure represent within me? What part of myself am I not seeing or acknowledging in my waking life? While deep dream analysis can be complex and may benefit from professional guidance, simply paying attention to your dreams opens a powerful channel of communication with your unconscious. Dedicated journaling is one of the most effective tools for shadow work. Here are some prompts to get you started. Find a quiet space, take a few deep breaths, and write freely without censoring yourself. What qualities do I consistently dislike, judge, or react strongly to in other people? What secrets do I keep, perhaps even from myself? What am I most afraid of others discovering about me? What situations or memories evoke feelings of deep shame or embarrassment for me? What desires, fantasies, or ambitions do I feel I have to repress or hide? If my dark side, the parts one usually keep hidden, could speak freely, what would it say? What does it need? What does it fear? Remember, the goal of these exercises is awareness and acceptance, not immediate fixing. Be patient with yourself. This is deep work. It's also important to acknowledge that sometimes exploring the shadow can bring up intense emotions or past trauma. If you feel overwhelmed, it is wise and courageous to seek support from a qualified therapist or counselor experienced in depth psychology or shadow work. You don't have to do this alone. As we journey deeper into shadow work, using tools like observing projections, befriending the inner critic, exploring dreams, and journaling, a crucial question arises. What is the ultimate goal? It's vital to understand that the aim of shadow work is integration, not elimination. We are not trying to destroy or get rid of the shadow. That's impossible, and it would leave us fragmented. The shadow is a part of us, holding immense energy and potential. The goal is to bring these hidden parts into conscious relationship, to integrate their energy into our lives in a healthy, constructive way. Integration begins with acceptance and ownership. It means acknowledging without judgment, yes, this trait, this anger, this fear, this envy, this hidden desire exists within me. It doesn't mean acting out these impulses destructively. It simply means recognizing their presence as part of your human experience. Once acknowledged, the next step is to find the healthy expression of the energy behind the shadow trait. Every shadow aspect holds a core energy or need that, in itself, is not negative. The negativity arises from its repression and unconscious expression. For example, the energy behind repressed anger might be integrated as healthy assertiveness and the ability to set clear boundaries. The energy behind greed or envy might be channeled into healthy ambition and the drive to create value. The energy behind fear can become prudence, healthy caution, and the ability to assess risk. The energy behind a disowned rebellious streak might fuel creativity and the courage to challenge outdated norms. This integration process leads towards wholeness. True psychological maturity isn't about achieving some state of perfect, shadowless light. It's about embracing the paradox of our nature, holding both the light and the dark within us consciously. As Jung reminded us with the metaphor of the tree, its ability to reach for the heavens is directly related to the depth its roots reach into the earth, into the darkness. It's important to remember that shadow work is not a one-time event or a quick fix. It is an ongoing process, a lifelong journey of self-awareness and integration. As we grow and change, as life presents new challenges, new aspects of the shadow may emerge, inviting further exploration and integration. It is the courageous path of becoming fully human. We began this journey by peering into the darkness, into the hidden corners of the self. We explored the nature of the shadow, the unconscious repository of all we disown. We saw the cost of ignoring it, the projections, the self-sabotage, the energy drain, the lack of authenticity. But we also uncovered the immense rewards of turning towards it, the path to wholeness, improved relationships, enhanced vitality, unlocked creativity, and profound inner strength. We touched upon practical ways to begin this sacred work, observing our reactions, dialoguing with our inner critic, listening to our dreams, and journaling with honesty and compassion. And we understood that the goal is not elimination, but integration, weaving the threads of both light and dark into the rich tapestry of a fully lived life. The power of shadow work lies in this fundamental shift. It places the locus of control firmly back within you. Your reality, your experiences, are not random occurrences or the fault of others. They are, in large part, reflections of your inner world, including the parts you keep hidden in the shadow. If you don't like the reflection you see in the mirror of your life, trying to change the external world is often futile. The change must begin within. Embracing your shadow is embracing your full humanity. It is claiming all of yourself. The darkness is not the enemy, it is a source of untapped power, wisdom, and potential waiting to be integrated. So I invite you now, take one small step. Choose one exercise that resonated with you. Begin the conversation with your own hidden depths. Be curious, be compassionate, be courageous. This journey inward is the ultimate adventure. It is the path to reclaiming your power and becoming the conscious creator of your experience. Look within, awaken. If this exploration resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more journeys into the depths of consciousness and transformation. Share your thoughts or insights respectfully in the comments below, remembering this is a personal journey for everyone. Thank you for walking this path today.